Hello, students. This is Professor B.S. Iyer from the Department of English of Shivale College. I hope all of you are doing well. Friends, today I am going to explore question number 2A of second semester of paper 6, which is entitled as Structure of Modern English. This question is based on the topic called clauses. You can see on your screen that this question reads, analyze the following clauses by giving form and function labels to the phrases they contain. Question number 2 is for 20 marks. This question is divided into two parts, A and B. A is for 10 marks and B is also for 10 marks. B is based on the structure, the subordinate clauses, and we will deal with it in the next presentation. Right now, our focus is on question number 2A. Let us first of all see what examples you may have in the examination and what we have to do with them. Here are the examples that I have taken from the old question paper so that you should get an idea about this exercise. This question contains three or four types of examples. The one that I have taken, you can see on your screen, that is the children were playing in the garden. So this is the first example. The children were playing in the garden. At the end of the day, these are the four examples that we have taken. The children were playing in the garden. She modeled herself after her mother. The lady who is wearing a pink sari is my aunt. And the fourth one is Marina. What do you need for the party? These examples I have taken from the old question paper. Now let us see that what we have to do with them. So at the end of the day, we have to learn to analyze the first example like this. We have to put the square brackets, the form and function labels, all the phrases we have to take in some or the other bracket. Those are the round brackets. As you know that we enclose the phrases into round bracket. So at the end of the day, we have to learn this. But to reach to this analysis, we need to know certain things. And to get up to that, let us start from what is a clause. So first of all, let us see what is a clause, because all these are the clauses that we will get in the question paper as example. And if you look at this example, you can see that all these examples are the simple sentences by the structure. A simple sentence is one who has which has just a single verb phrase. So all the example have single verb phrase, and that is why it is a simple sentence. You will have all kinds of simple sentences, means a single clause. So that is why we should know what is meant by a clause. So in the first semester, we have seen the grammatical hierarchy. So we starts from the letter, then letter makes morphemes, morphemes make words, words make phrases, phrases make clauses, and then clauses make sentences, sentences make the paras, discourse, and then books, so on and so forth. So at the end of we have a letters, then morphemes, words, phrases, and clauses. So our concern is here a clause. A clause requires subject plus verb phrase. In short, you can say that one verb is equal to one clause. There cannot be a clause without a verb or phrase, but it also requires a subject to make a clause. So this is meant by clause. Now let us revise the phrases, because we have to give the form and function labels to the phrases too. And if we know the phrases, then I find that you will find this exercise a pretty easy one. And we have already studied these phrases in the first semester, and we have also tested on the phrases in the examination. So these were the phrases that we studied in the first semester: noun phrase, adjective phrase, adverb phrase, prepositional phrase, genitive phrase, and verb phrase. These are six phrases we have already studied in the first semester, and you must remember them for the for the analysis of the question number 2A. So all these phrases except verb phrase have the same structure, that they have the head and optional elements are pre-modifiers and post-modifiers, and who can be the head of noun phrase, who can be the head of adjective phrase, all that we have studied in the first semester, except verb phrase, because verb phrase has a head as a main verb. Their function label is different. So we need to revise them once again. Now, let us see the elements of clauses, because we also need them, as we have to give the function labels to the phrases, and these function labels are depend upon these elements, and they are SPOCA. SPOCA is nothing but the acronym of SPOCA. S stands for subject, P stands for predicate, then O stands for object, C stands for complement, and A stands for adverbial. As you know, that subject is always the doer of the action that uh, is there in the sentence, in the clause. A predicator is always a verb phrase, and object is a sufferer of an action. Then complement is a unit which we need to complete the sense of a sentence. And adverbial tells about the why, how, where, when the action has taken place. So these are the five function labels that we are going to use while analyzing the clause. What phrase has done what action has been explained in this diagram. You can see at the bottom we have taken the phrases: noun phrase, verb phrase, prepositional phrase, adjective phrase, and which is hidden behind my screen is adverb phrase. And at the top of, we have taken the function labels of this phrase that they do in the clause. So NP can act as an subject of a clause. It can act an object, complement, adverbial. So except verb, it can act all kinds of four functions: subject, object, complement, and adverbial in a clause. So as far as verb phrase is concerned, it acts only as a predicator of a clause. So it will never have another function label except P. Now, as far as prepositional phrase is concerned, it also acts just adverbial of a clause. When it comes in a clause, when it comes in a phrase as a subordinate phrase in another phrase, it may act as a modifier. But here our concern is when it comes as a, a phrase in a clause, it acts as an adverbial. Adjective phrase also acts only complement in a clause, and adverb phrase acts only adverbial in a clause. So we can see that except noun phrase, verb phrase does only one function, prepositional also one function, adjective phrase also does just a complement function, and adverb phrase also has one function in a clause. It is only noun phrase which can act as a subject, object, complement, and adverbial. So this gives us a clear idea that when we will find verb phrase, we have to write P, which indicates predicator, as a function label of that phrase. When there will be preposition, we will write A on the head as a function label. When we will have adjective phrase, we will write C, which stands for complement. And when we'll have adverb phrase, again we will write just A as a function label to that phrase. So it is so simple. Now let us do the analysis of the examples that we have taken step by step. So let us start how to analyze this clause step by step. So the first step is we have to take down the example as it is given in the question paper. But while doing that, we have to take precaution that we should have enough space between two words and between two sentences so that the brackets and the labels should not mingle in one another, and there should not be overwriting also. The neat and clean presentation is always better. It will please the examiner, and you will be awarded good marks for that. So the first step is we have to take down the example as it is given in the question paper. So let us do it first. So we have taken down the example. The children were playing in the garden that we have taken from the old question paper. The first of all, we have taken down the example as it is given in the question paper. We have kept enough space between two words because we do not know where we will have to put the brackets and labels. So it is always a better idea to have enough space between two words and between two lines, as there is no need to write the second line because all the example uh, have been written in a single line. So the first step we have done. Now let us go to the second step. In the second step, what we have to do is put a square bracket around the whole clause. It may be any clause, any example that we will get in the question paper. We have to do it step by step that I am showing you like this. So again, put the square bracket around the whole clause. So the first bracket will open before the word the, and it will end after the garden. The square bracket we have to put because this is a clause and clauses are enclosed in a square bracket, that you should remember this. Now the third step, let us go to it. And in the third step, what we have to do, that we have to label the square bracket we have just put as SE because it is a sentence. It indicates sentence. SE is a short, is a label for the for the clause, for the sentence. So let us do it. The examples that we have, the square brackets, and then you can see here we have given label SE, that is a sentence. So these are the first three steps. We have to do these three steps for with every example that we will get in the question paper. We should not bother about the phrases, what words they contain, how many phrases are there, what kinds of sentences are these. Without bothering anything, we can do these three steps with every example. Now let us see the fourth step, what we have to do in that. In the fourth step, we have to identify the verb phrase first. Why verb phrase first? Because it is always a better idea to start with the verb because it splits up the sentence into three parts, and it is very easy, pretty easy to identify the verb phrase because we are well acquainted with the verbs. Now, this is our example, and now let us identify the verb phrase first. So, you know that the is an article, children is a noun, where is an auxiliary verb, playing is a main verb, in is a preposition, the is again article, and garden is a noun. So we have just two words which are verbs, and they will form a verb phrase which begins from where and ends with playing. So we have to put the round bracket around it because it's a phrase. And as we know that phrases are enclosed in a round bracket. So we have given round bracket. And now we have to give form and function labels to this verb phrase. As we know that this is verb phrase, let us give it a form label as verb phrase. And you know that verb uh, phrase as we have given the form label because form label are given before and below the phrase or the word. That is why verb phrase is given here below the phrase and before the phrase. So verb phrase will come here. Now we have to give the function label to this phrase. And as I told you that when we will write verb phrase, it will always have the function label as P because it acts as predicate. So whenever we write here verb phrase, automatically we have to write here without bothering anything predicator P. So this is done, verb phrase is done. Now you can see that we have, as we have analyzed verb phrase, we have got three parts of the sentence. The children is one, were playing is one, and in the garden is one. So we have split up the whole clause into three units. And now it is very easy to deal with these rest of the two units. You may start with the children or you may do it in the garden. It depends upon you because that is not going to make any difference. Now in step 5, what we have to do that we will start from the beginning of the sentence, the unit which is left, the children. So deal with the initial part of clause, and this is the example that we have solved so far. Now let us come to the children. So we have to take each and every word in some or the other bracket. So we our first bracket will start from the, because that is the first word of the clause. So we have started it from the, and now we have to end. We have to close that bracket. It may be closed at after the or children. Now see that the, we cannot close it at the after the, because then it will become no phrase, because the is a determiner and determiner will never, it never acts as an head of any phrase. So if we end it with after the, what will, what problem we will have to face, that the phrase will not have any head, and it will be a big mistake. So we have to end the bracket after children. Now it will become the noun phrase. Why noun phrase? Because you know that only noun takes articles. And there is an article, that is why it will become noun phrase. Now let us give form and function label to this phrase also. So this is a noun phrase, and a noun phrase is a form label of this phrase. Now let us give the function label too. And since it is a simple sentence, and the simple sentence as well as a declarative sentence, and it follows the uh, subject, predicator, object, complement or adverbial rule. So the subject will come first, and that is why we have given subject as a function label to this NP. Now the last part, that is in the garden, let us deal with it also. So in step number 6, let us again deal with the last part of the clause. This is the example that we have dealt so far. Now the last part. So again, we will have to start a round bracket from the word in, and we have to end it at the after the guard, because we cannot end it after in, because then it will not have any phrase, it will not be able to form any phrase, and the same is case with the, and that is why we have to end our bracket after the garden, because after that we do not have any word. And as you can see that it begins with in, so it indicates that this is a prepositional phrase. So let us give the form label prepositional phrase to it. And when we give prepositional phrase as a form label, automatically the function label comes a, because it acts as an adverbial. So we have given here a as a function label to this form, to this PP. And in this way, we have done the complete analysis of this example. Now let us also solve the other examples which we have taken. Three more examples we have taken, if you are remembering in the first slide. So let us deal with them right now. So the next example is she modeled herself after her mother. I have intentionally given the different color to different phrases, so you may get an idea that how many phrases we have in this example. So I have used four colors. It means that there are four phrases in this clause and we have to analyze it step by step. So first step is that we have to write down the example, keeping in a space between them, between the words and between the lines. So we have done that. Now let us do the second step, that we have to put square bracket around this example. So we have started from the beginning a square bracket and we have closed it at the end of the sentence of the clause. Now we have to give the function form label to this square bracket and it is a SE. Without forget we have to write there SE for every clause that we are going to analyze. These steps, these three steps we have to do without any doubt, without any problem. And now we have to identify the fourth step, if you are remembering, is we have to identify the verb phrase. And in this case, in this example, modeled is a verb phrase. So we have to enclose it in a round bracket. So we have enclosed in a red color. You can see on your screen that we have opened the round bracket from here and we have closed it here. So we have just a single word phrase in this example. Now let us give the form and function label to this phrase. So verb phrase is a form label, and if a phrase has a verb label as a verb phrase, we have to write down P without any doubt, without any worry. So the function label of this verb phrase is a predicate. So we have done with the verb phrase. Now just a single word is left before the verb phrase. Now let us deal with it first, and then we will come the elements that we have after verb phrase. So she, a single word, so we have to enclose it in a round bracket. This is what we have done here. You can see on your screen that she is enclosed in a round bracket. Now she is a pronoun, and pronoun is can be the head of a noun phrase. So this is a noun phrase. Let us give the form and function label. First of all, form label. This is a NP. And at the end, we can see that there is a full stop. It means that this is a declarative sentence, a statement. And so it has to start with the subject. So this noun phrase is a subject. Now let us come to the word that we have after the verb phrase, and it is herself. We have four words left, herself after the mother. So when you see the word after, you can easily identify that this is a prepositional phrase. So it will have its own phrase from after to mother, and herself will, we have to treat it differently. So now let us put a round bracket around herself, because from the after, we will have prepositional phrase. This is a noun phrase, just like she, we have to analyze it. And now this noun phrase will be a object, because we have subject at the beginning of a sentence, and in a single clause there will be not two subjects. So this is an object. Now let us come to the after her mother. So again, this is a prepositional, being a prepositional phrase. The round bracket will start from the after and it will end after mother. So let us do it. These two brackets we have uh, written, we have given. It opens from here and ends with here, because we cannot end after the word after, because the prepositional is never, it never uh, has any kind of a function label, so it is not able to form a phrase. Same is the case with the her, because her is a possessive pronoun, and possessive pronoun, if we want to analyze it, then it will have a separate, its own separate phrase, which will act as an which will be which will have a genitive phrase as a function label, and it will act as a modifier. So let us see that how we can do it. So this is a prepositional phrase, and a prepositional phrase always act as an adverbial. So we have to write a as a function label to this phrase. So in this way we have done. Now let us the Next example, that is Marina. After Marina, we have a comma. What do you need for the party? So this comma is a very indicative one. It suggests us something. So let us see what it suggests. So again, let us start with the square bracket and close the whole clause in a square bracket. Put SE as a form label, then identify the verb phrase, and the verb phrase of this example is do need, but you is also there. And as it is odd man in this phrase, we have to put the round bracket around it and we have to make it separate. So first of all, let us deal with the verb phrase. We have given verb phrase VP as a form label to this phrase because this is a verb phrase. And again, we have to put P as a function label because it's a verb phrase, and verb phrase always acts as a predicator. So there is no doubt about it. Now let us deal with the you because it's a pronoun and pronoun has no place in a verb phrase. So we have to separate it. And how do we separate it? That we put a round bracket around it and we also give it a form and function label. In this case, it is a noun phrase and acting as a subject. Now we have to go to the first word of the sentence, and after we have comma, it means that it indicates this is a separate unit. So Marina, we have to enclose in a round bracket and we have to give form and function label. So see that it's a name, and after that name we have a comma. It means that it is addressed to someone. It is addressed. What do you need for the party is addressed to Marina. So Marina has been addressed, and that is why when in this case, when the name is addressed, then we have to write OKT. VOC is a short label for that VOC. So as a form label, we have to write VOC and we do not have to write any function label to it. Now let us come to the what. So what we have to again put into a round bracket because from do we have already uh, started and we have already enclosed those words into another bracket. So only what was left, and that is why we have enclosed it in a round bracket. Now give the form and function label. As you know that this must be a noun phrase and acting as an object because this clause has already a subject which is you. So what is a object of this clause? Now only for the part is left, and just by looking at it you can understand that this is a prepositional phrase beginning begins with for and ends with party. So let us enclose it in the round bracket too and give the form label as a prepositional phrases and function label as an adverbial. And we have also done with this example too. Now the last one, because we have seen four example, we have already done three, and the last one let us do. But before that, let me tell you that we have to use a link to show that these two verbs are interrupted by the you. And again, we connect it by using the link which starts from do and it is linked to need to indicate that this is a part of a same phrase. Now let us do the fourth example. And this example is the lady who is wearing a pink sari is my aunt. All these four examples you can see are different. There is a bit of there is a little bit of difference in them. And what is that? That one of them was a vocative, and uh, the second example has one more phrase. It has four phrases in the first example, whereas there was three only. Now let us see this how this is different because it has a subordinate clause in a phrase. So how to analyze this? Because as we have decided that we will go step by step, so we have taken down the example as it is given in the question paper. And we have left enough space between two words and between two lines. Now here you can see that I have kept enough space between two lines too. And now let us put this example in a square bracket first. So this is the square bracket. You can see it begins from the first letter of the uh, clause and it ends at the end of the sentence or a clause. Now let us give the form label to this square bracket. It's a sentence, SE. Here we have given it. Now let us identify the verb phrase. And the verb phrase begins with is and wearing. Is wearing are the two words verb phrases. Because you can see that is an auxiliary and wearing the verb has taken ing form. So it's pretty easy to identify the verb phrase. So we start with the verb phrase first. Now is wearing, and again we have the second verb. Now let us give the form and function label to this verb phrase first, verb phrase and predicator. Now let us identify the second verb because this example has two verb phrases. One is wearing and another one is just is. Again verb phrase and predicator we have to give form and function labels. Now do not bother that though there are two verb phrases, it only means that one verb phrase is a verb phrase of a subordinate clause, and that subordinate clause is nothing but NCL, RCL in a noun phrase. So, first of all, let us see that which verb phrase has a indicator which indicates that it's a subordinate clause, and that indicator is a relative pronoun who. So, this verb phrase has relative pronoun. That is why this will be a subordinate clause. And we have to start the subordinate clause from who, and we have to end it with the sari because we cannot take is in that clause. Again, then it will have two verb phrases in a place. So this is a noun phrase, the lady who is wearing a pink sari. We have already studied and we have already analyzed this noun phrase in the first semester because we have seen that in a noun phrase there can be a RCL as a post modifier. So this is the example of that kind of example. So do not bother about it. The lady who is wearing a pink sari is a noun phrase. I have shown it differently by putting a box around it for your convenience, and see that this is how we can analyze it. So let us put a round bracket around it. It will start from the lady and it will end at the side. So this is a noun phrase. Let us give form and function label to this phrase first. It's a NP acting as a subject. Now from who we will have a square bracket to the up to the sari, and this is a RCL. Now let us give the form and function label to this RCL. The form label of this bracket is a RCL and it will act as a modifier, as you know, because it is a subordinate clause in a noun phrase. Lady is a head of this phrase, and from who to sari is a RCL which will act as a modifier. Now we have to give the form and function labels to each phrase that this RCL contains. So the first one is a who, and who is a noun phrase acting as a subject in this case. Then again we will have to open a new bracket from pink. A pink sari will come in the same bracket because a is a determiner article and it has relation with the sari. So we will have these three words in the same bracket, and this is a noun phrase acting as object, a pink sari. Now only my aunt is left, so we can take it in a separate round bracket. It is a noun phrase acting as a complement because it has followed copula. Is a copula. So copula is a form of a to be, and whatever comes after to be, it may be is, are, where, it automatically acts as complement. So in this way, we have already solved. We have already given the form and function label to all the elements of this clause. And in this way, we have solved, analyzed this example. So I'm sure if you go step by step, as I told you in this video, you will find this exercise pretty easy. So if you still found any doubt, you can watch this video again and again. And even though you will have any doubt, you can call me on my phone at any time of the day. I'm always there to at your service. So thank you. Thank you very much.